Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahabhiryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Good morning, this is Vivekananda Study Circle, IIT Madras, our regular Sunday class. And we are in a series where we are trying to reflect on the addresses that Swami Vivekananda delivered on his return from the West in 1897. Today we will see his lecture, a short address that he delivered at a place called Sivaganga. This was a group of zamindars and citizens of Sivaganga and Manamudurai. They gathered and gave a very touching welcome to Swami Vivekananda. By then he was already exhausted, so he didn't have the time and also the energy to give a long talk. But he gave a very forceful, pointed talk. Some points which he made were very clear. That we will see now. I'll share the presentation. Address at Sivaganga and Manamudurai. Actually, Swami Vivekananda began presenting one thought at Pambal, where he said every nation, just as every individual, every race, every nation has a unique identity. And that identity is built around its ideal. Ideal is what it values most. What is the central thing, idea, or passion, or pursuit for that race, that society, that nation? Every nation has that center point. So the whole national life is organized around that central idea, or desire, or commitment, or the focus. And Swamiji says in India, this ideal has always been religion and spirituality. After that, he gave next address at Ramnath, which we saw. He reminded the listeners that India's foundation is religion and spirituality. And he gives an example. You see, I went to America and I gave a talk there, a small lecture. Then I addressed many cities of America and also in London, presenting the spiritual treasures called Vedanta. This that I addressed a small gathering of in Chicago, every peasant in India knows. But there have been momentous changes across the world. They hardly know about it. So he gave some examples to show that the common people's life is centered in religion. Now in this address, where he is received the welcome from the zamindars of Sivaganga and Manamudurai, Swamiji is again stressing on this point that India is having an unbroken tradition of religion and spirituality. And this spiritual treasure now has to be first discovered, because many are now almost ignorant of it. And then it has to be shared with the world. This is what Swamiji will be presenting in this address. India, you will first see Swamiji's own words. India is still living. Who says she is dead? This is the answer to the people, especially the British rulers, the Western people, who said India is a dead country because it is conquered last 1,000 years. Any fellow who wanted went and conquered this land. And they are so poor, they very conveniently forgot that India was looted for more than 1,200 years. All the wealth looted out. So they say India is a weak country and it is a dead country. Swamiji is replying to that. And this was something even the so-called educated Indians themselves believed. The West wants us to see active. If they want to see us active on the field of battle, they will be disappointed. That is not our field. Just as we would be disappointed if we hope to see a military nation active on the field of spirituality. But let them come here and see that we are equally active and how the nation is living and is as alive as ever. We should dispel the idea that we have degenerated at all. India has degenerated, India is poor, India is superstitious, India is nothing. First, this point was tom-tommed in every literature, everywhere, in education. And then all the blame was laid at the doorstep of Hinduism. It is because of Hinduism India has fallen down. But Swamiji says, no, India is still living. Who says she is dead? The vibrancy or activity of a civilization is not necessarily measured through military conquests or trade. There are other parameters through which we can verify, confirm, and prove that a civilization is alive. Do you mean to say a civilization is alive only if it goes and conquers others? Like Russia goes and fights something. So Russia is alive? Or America does trade always in its favor, or China does trade in its favor always. Does that mean it is alive? Is that the only parameter to say a civilization is alive? Swamiji says, no, there are other parameters. These are not the only parameters. Great periods in every country, in our history when we read, what is the great period of India? What is the great period of this country? It is always described in terms of military conquest or how big was its trade. So it was a very vibrant civilization because its trade was so good. It was a vibrant civilization because it was such a powerful military force it had. Now, what is the golden year of British Empire? Oh, that was the golden year when the sun never set on the British Empire because they conquered and they ruled from east to west. Is that the only parameter? Swamiji asks this question and says, no, that cannot be the only parameter. And for India, Swamiji says, Indian vibrancy should be measured in terms of the religious and spiritual activity being carried out in India. And by this parameter, India continues to be as vibrant as many other countries in the world, though on a different dimension. So each one has to be judged by his own parameter. Each society has to be judged by his own parameter. If I say this cobbler and this Nobel Prize winning scientist are being measured and their parameters are like this, so the Nobel Prize winning scientist is infinitely better than this cobbler. Will that be fair? Each has to be measured according to his parameter. He is the best shoemaker probably in the whole city. And he is probably most honest. And he is so kind and unselfish. Are all those parameters not to be taken into account? Will it be only how much fame he has or how much money he earns? Is that the parameter to judge the utility, the vibrancy of an individual, a cobbler and a Nobel Prize winning scientist? There are other parameters. It cannot be the only parameter to judge. Similarly, for a country, you cannot say you are not military strong, so you are dead. You don't have good trade, so you are dead. And even in that, we had a strong military and we were very rich and we had very good trade. But the very law of nature is there is always up and down, up and down. So last 1,000 years, India was down. Not fully down. There were great empires. Mughal Empire was there. And there were other small kingdoms which were very vibrant. But on the whole, there was a sense of decay. But it is not true. If you take the Mughal Empire, some periods of it was very popular, very successful administration, and it was a very strong administration. There was law, there was prosperity. But there was also other things where the common man probably lost some of his own self-confidence, individuality. As the Western conquest started coming, it brought about a degradation, the whole society. Swamiji is trying to revive that, saying, no, India has not lost anything. Why then has European materialism swamped India? Or for that matter, why have so many people left the fold of Hinduism right from the Buddhistic period to the Islam and Christian conversions? Now, this is a question many so-called educated Hindus would ask. If Hinduism is really good, why so many people converted to Islam? Why are now thousands and thousands of people converting to Christianity? It is because Hinduism is not good. It is a very easy, convenient lie. used for conversion, and also we know how the other people were converted. Now, Swamiji says, don't lay this fault at the doorstep of Hinduism. The fault is in you, not in the religion. The fault for this should not be placed at the door of any foreign or external influences, but on the Hindus themselves. There are people who say, oh, India fell because so many people conquered her and they converted forcibly, and then they converted with money and all cheating and all. So we have lost. Somebody says, no, that is not true. He gives an example. He says, a bacteria cannot affect a body unless the body itself becomes weak. And Hinduism became weak. Why? He explains that later in this talk. Now you are crying, oh, so many people have left Hinduism. As Vedantists, the first duty of Hindus is to look inwards and see whether they are at fault for this state of affairs or it is the external influence. The conquerors have done this. Is it so? Or is it that I became weak? Hindus need to ask themselves, what did they do for the poor and the less privileged for centuries? Seen from this point of view, they can attribute this failure to themselves and to their own karma. Swamiji says, he prefaces it with one nice sentence. He says, thank you for this welcome. I accept it, but I only see this as a precursor for greater glory for those who will come in future in this and develop this spirituality of this land. But now I have to say a few harsh words, which I hope you will not take unkindly. With that, he tells this. He says, you people are responsible if so many Hindus are leaving this grand religion and converting to Islam or Christianity. Why is this happening? Because you did not share the treasures of this religion. And how did you spend your time? Swamiji points it out later. We are weeping for these renegades now, but what did we do for them before? Let every one of us ask ourselves, what have we learned? Have we taken hold of the torch of truth? And if so, how far did we carry it? We did not help them. This is the question we should ask ourselves. It is seen even in this land of Tamil Nadu, across India. So many poor people, fisher communities, wholesale, en masse have been converted to Christianity. Not that they did not have faith in this Sanatana Dharma. It was the oppression of casteism, one side. And the higher truths, spiritual truths discovered by the Upanishads was never given to them, saying, oh, they are not ready, they won't understand. So that opened them to be converted with money and other influences. And the consequences are seen, especially in a democracy. Anything which is organized for power. And Swamiji says, you are to be blamed for it. Are you saying Hinduism is better than anything else? The point is not which is better. The point is trying to tell someone, what you believe, your faith, which has come down to you for thousands of years is all wrong. What we have is better than it, or this is the only correct thing. You are fully wrong. You will go to hell. That is wrong. No Hindu tells anyone else who is practicing in any other faith will go to hell. No Hindu believes like that. But when someone is converted to something like that, that is a degradation. Swamiji calls it, to say that man is a born sinner is a standing libel against mankind. So you first threaten me, blackmail me, and then brainwash me and tell me I am the only savior for you. Swamiji says, is that what we should give for our countrymen? This land where everyone has the right for the spiritual truths, and that spiritual truth tells you are the divinity. You are not a fallen man. You are not a sinner. You are the Atma. And the land which discovered this, in that land, this idea should be preached that you are born sinners and then you will be in eternal hell if you don't come to our way. Should that be allowed? That is the question Swamiji is answering. And he says, you are responsible for this. Educated Hindus, not the modern educated Hindus. Those who knew these truths, they did not share it. We can draw an analogy to the human body. Just as the human frame cannot be attacked by any bacilli unless it is itself weak, similarly, if Hinduism has succumbed even partly to external threats, it is because of its weakness. The primary cause of this weakening has been an excessive focus on the intricate rituals of day-to-day conduct rather than on the vast and noble philosophical ideas and the glorious spirituality that are the real foundations of religion. For any religion, the foundation is its philosophy and its spiritual truths discovered by its founders or the later generations. Instead of that, focusing on that, Hindus for last few centuries, they were focusing on day-to-day rituals, how you should conduct, how you should sit. So some say, in other words, Hindus have stopped being Vedantists or Pauranics or Tantrics. They have simply become, don't touch it. Don't touch me. I am a higher caste. Don't touch me. It has degraded to that. In Swamiji's own word, he says, think of the last 600 or 700 years of degradation when grown-up men by hundreds have been discussing for years whether we should drink a glass of water with the right hand or the left, whether the hand should be washed 3 times or 4 times, whether we should gargle 5 or 6 times. What can you expect from men who pass their lives in discussing such momentous questions as these and writing most learned philosophies on them? And in that process, the greatest discovery of India was forgotten, and that is the divinity of man. And once that was forgotten, it was only a downhill towards degradation. So if India and Hinduism is now degraded, the fault is not with this religion, it is with its practitioners. There are people who would like us to believe that the fault is with your religion. Swamiji says, no, this was the grand religion, which is the land which is more than 8,000 years old. As of now, the recorded history is nearly 8,000 years old. And you are talking of other civilizations like Egyptian and others which have already gone. And what is it that is trying to replace this grand 8,000-year culture? Maximum is 2,000 years and another is 1,200 years. So what is the consequence of this? That you've lost your focus on the central point and held on for years together on useless rituals, customs. If this goes on for another century, every one of us will be in a lunatic asylum. It is a sure sign of softening of the brain when the mind cannot grasp the higher problems of life. All originality is lost. The mind has lost its strength, its activity, its power of thought, and just tries to go round and round the smallest curve it can. Some say this will be the consequence. If you continue to spend your time thinking how I should sit, how I should do this ritual, or how the caste system is to be preserved, or how untouchability is having a deep truth in that, then the whole society will be degraded. So what is the solution? Swamiji says, we must recognize the extraordinary heritage and treasure that Hindus have. First, discover it for yourself. Put some effort and find out what is the discovery of this land. This is the land where these great truths were discovered. Let me know what is the discovery. It is now available for everyone in almost every Indian language. Even in foreign languages, it is available. Your Upanishads, your Gita, the spiritual truths discovered in this land is available now. Let me see what I can understand of it. Furthermore, Swamiji says, do that first, and then we must also recognize that the world is in dire need of this treasure and will in fact die if it does not receive the treasure of spirituality lying hidden in India. He says, discover it for your own good, for the good of your fellow countrymen, and then share it with others. If you don't, this world, with its cutthroat competition and one-upmanship, my faith should be the only faith in the whole world, that kind of an idea, mindset, the whole world should be converted to my faith. If people go with that, there will only be bloodshed and it will never happen. That will never happen, but there will be bloodshed in the name. And it has always happened in that. The task ahead of us, Swamiji says, there are 3 kinds of charity, dhanam. First is annadhanam, you give food. Second is vidya dhanam, you give them secular knowledge. And the third and higher one is adhyatmika, that is spiritual knowledge, giving that. In India, we have the culture of annadhanam. Anywhere in India you go, people still have that. Let me give some food. And they see it as merit. It is true. It is a punya karma. but it comes naturally. Let us give some food. When Swamiji was in America, just before the Parliament of Religions, he lost his letter of introduction, his money and all. He was sitting on the road with a suitcase. He didn't know where to go. He went to some house and knocked, asked, I have come for this. They thought he was a beggar and banged the door on his face. Door after door he went, house after house, doors were banged on his face. Then he got tired. He surrendered to God and sat on the side of the road. Then a lady on the opposite lane, she understood this person looks like a foreigner. He must have come to attend the Parliament of Religions. She came and asked him, and he said yes, and this is my condition. She invited him home, and then they introduced him to the chairman of the Parliament of Religions, and then the rest is history. But Swamiji says, this land is no land for beggars. I wanted food. Nobody is ready to give them. Unless you are a guest and you have been introduced, you are not welcome. That is not the case in India even now. He says, of these three, Indians have assimilated the ideal of giving food. Now the focus must be on giving secular and spiritual knowledge. So what is the task ahead? Swamiji gives this. It is a very short address where he says giving food is already a part of our culture. The other two things now we have to give. Dhanam, two kinds of dhanam. Secular knowledge, spiritual knowledge. We must focus on this. If we were all brave and had stout hearts and with absolute sincerity put our shoulders to the wheel, in 25 years the whole problem will be solved and there will be nothing left here to fight about. His disciple Nivedita also tells this. If all the educated youth of India decide to dedicate 2 years of their lives to uplift the country, India will have no problems. But that requires sacrifice and selfishness. Secular knowledge we are still spreading. Some 75 years after independence, we are still struggling to spread this, the knowledge which will help men and women to stand on their feet and earn their livelihood. There is still so much illiteracy. We are still struggling, but we have taken giant strides in that. Now the spiritual knowledge dissemination is also happening. And as it happens in anything, whether it is a business or it is secular education, there is always something which goes in the name of fake. So in spiritual knowledge dissemination also, there are many fake kind of ideas going around in the garb of spirituality. But that itself shows people are hungry for something higher. And this has spread now outside India. Even outside India, there is a real thirst for true spirituality, not simply telling, believe this, believe that. What Swami Vivekananda wants us to believe is, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and discover the divinity within you. So the kind of knowledge Swami Vivekananda wanted us to give freely to everyone, to every Indian, and then share it with the world. What is that? Knowledge that helps people to go beyond their narrow selfishness and serve other beings, seeing divinity in all. This is the central point of the Upanishadic discovery. Man is divine, man is God. Tattvamasi is the statement. You are that divinity. Discover it. Yes, you feel you are a body. I have to interact with other people. So I should have this character. The character strength which says, I will not harm others, I will not hurt others. And a personality which allows you to manifest best whatever is your inner potentials, whatever is possible. we all have unique possibilities as human beings. And we all have something which is unique for us as individuals. Two kinds of possibilities. Both have to be manifested. Just having a human body doesn't mean I am living as a human being. I can live as an animal also. So I have to discover this humanity in me and manifest it. That is the first level. This is the common trait, common possibilities of every human being. And then each one of us, we have something unique. In the last lecture, Swamiji said, even the Rakshasa, someone who is like a demonic, he has something unique which probably the saint doesn't have. The worm has something which probably the man doesn't have. Each one of us, in this creation, everything has something which is unique only for it. That is the grandness of this creation. Now there is something unique for me that I have to discover. Discover it in yourself, help others to discover it. Then training in concentrating their physical, emotional, and thought energies, which is the means of acquiring knowledge. How to concentrate all your energies, emotional energy, thought energy, and then physical energy. Let it not be dissipated, because greater the power of concentration, greater the discoveries. And as Swamiji says elsewhere, the true difference between two human beings is the degree of their concentration. Greater the power of concentration, greater the discoveries. And then knowledge that enables people to build solutions to the challenges of life. This Sanatana Dharma is not an escapist Dharma, which says, oh, this whole world is mithya, forget it, let it rot. We are divine, let us sit. That has happened. Some people think like that. That Swamiji says is not your true message of Upanishads. That is not the message of Sanatana Dharma. You read Gita, nowhere he says, oh, okay, why do we fight? Arjuna says, why should I battle and kill my own grandfather and uncles? Let us give up all kingdom and sit silently in a forest. Krishna says, no, that is not the answer. You have to fight because you are trying to protect dharma. You have to bring a solution. The challenge is this adharma of Duryodhana. And that challenge has to be met. It has to be met face on. And it will involve killing. And you will be killing your own grandfather. You will have to be ready for it. That kind of a courage Krishna gives Arjuna. So it is not an escapist religion at all. If someone has interpreted and someone thinks like that, it is their mistake, not the mistake of religion. This is the point Swamiji is making. And you can build solutions to all the challenges of life. And that solution need not be selfish. Bahujana hitaya, bahujana sukhaya is what Buddha says. And it need not depend, whatever solution I give will be available to you only if you convert to my faith. And you will be saved only if you come to my faith. You call God by some other name and you practice some other paddhati of sadhana, you will go to hell for definite. And if you don't go to hell, I will kill you myself. That solution is never going to give peace to mankind. It has never given because fundamentally it is selfish. It is narrow and it is selfish. And this is the land which has given this. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. Truth is one. Wise people call it by various names. And when they call it by various names, the way they approach the truth is also various. So many different paths. And that Swami Vivekananda's Guru Sri Ramakrishna said, Joto mat toto pat. As many faiths, so many paths to the truth. Show another religion which can accept this. There is only one path to truth and that is my path. Can that bring peace to mankind? So this solutions to the common man's problems, that also can be done through the spiritual treasures that we have. This is the point Swamiji is making. Knowledge that helps people to stand on their own feet. How will you stand on your own feet? Not just singing bhajans and doing your jap dhyan. You have to live in the world, earn your livelihood, contribute to society, build a strong society. And for that, you have to discover your manhood. Manhood is that I am something. I can contribute. So this kind of a knowledge and self-belief has to be given to society. Knowledge that human beings are essentially divine and their goal in life is to manifest this divinity. In one of his first letters to Nivedita, Swamiji writes this. My motto indeed can be put in a few words, and that is to preach unto mankind the divinity and how to manifest it in every movement of life. Discover your inner divinity and let it manifest in every action. So the takeaway message that Swamiji gives us is, it is a great thing to take up a grand ideal in life and then give up one's whole life to it. For what otherwise is the value of life, this vegetating little low life of man. Subordinating it to one high ideal is the only value that life has. This is great work to be done in India. So he's a short address, but in that he has packed a lot of ideas. Next, we will see his address in Madura, but this is the address, short address, where he has repeated what he has presented earlier, that we have life, we are not dead. Don't bring your parameters to judge our life. And we are alive in the spiritual and religious dimension. That is true. And then he again now tells, that is true, but it is also not really alive because you have degraded it by not holding on to the essential things, but concentrating last few hundred years, 600, 700 years on inconsequential ritualistic practices. That is why this has happened. The reason why so many people are leaving your religion is not because the conquerors are more powerful than you. It is because you have weakened by not holding on to the essential of your religion. And that, Swamiji's message, go back to your Upanishads. Repeatedly he would say, go back to the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, there is no talk of this God and this papam, nothing. It is just about discovering you, your true self as consciousness. So this is the message Swamiji has once again reiterated in this address. If you have any questions on this topic, let us discuss.
Maharaj?
Yes.
Yes, Pranam Maharaj. Maharaj, one question I had was in the beginning when Swamiji said that there are some countries whose main, the vibrancy is measured by way of their military or trade capabilities, while India it is spiritual vibrancy, which and the parameter for measurement should be different, and that point is completely agreed and well taken. But the doubt which is coming in my mind is that because of our weakness in trade and military capabilities, especially military capabilities and trade as well, we have example of East India Company or those Turkish invaders and all that. So not only they control our trade and military, but they also kind of tried to break our spiritual backbone.
Yes.
We were also partially responsible, no doubt. But there's, for example, burning of Nalanda University, and all our spiritual treasures were burned, and our own capability went down, and our own they controlled our education system.
Yes.
So this whole thing of how to create faith in ourselves itself became, so that was influenced by military and this capability.
Yes.
So my question is that in terms of our future vision of India, so one is that to revive our spiritual core, which is very core, and if we leave that, then we will be destroyed as a civilization. But how do we also take along the military and the trade capabilities side by side, so that we don't get to face the same degradation which we had, for which at least partially our weakness in these two kind of trade and military, and as a political union, one union was responsible.
Swamiji says the same part. He says it is after Buddha that India started going down. When he brought this message of ahimsa to such a state that you said ahimsa is the paramo dharma, very good. But the practical truth is there are tigers. So you cannot go and talk ahimsa with a tiger. You can talk that with a deer. You can talk that with your rabbits, not with a tiger. So when you know there are tigers in the forest, you should be armed if you want to live in the forest. And this was the country where Alexander had to retreat facing one small kingdom. He didn't even come inside India. Forget coming inside. It was a small king who sent Alexander back. He lost, but Alexander had to face such a fight which it was not easy for his soldiers. Yes, they were tired and all, but if they had overcome this king easily, they would have come inside. It was a very powerful land. And if you see the story of that King Rajput king who defeated him 16 times and forgave him and all that, and finally he lost again because of his attachment to his wife, and he neglected his kingdom in Delhi, Prithviraj Chauhan. This was a very powerful land. And you take the time of Krishna himself, Yavanas or the Greeks. It was a very powerful land. So religion did not mean that we have to be physically weak. The kings had to go on fight. It was part of their dharma. Not because they hated the other kings. They said, manhood is proved for me as a Kshatriya by the power of my arms. So Swamiji, that's why he says, I want immense idealism with immense practicality. Immense idealism with immense practicality. This can be understood with one parable Sri Ramakrishna gives. The Guru tells the disciples the whole universe is Narayana, that is God. They are all convinced. Next day, one of the disciples goes out for begging in the town, and as he is returning, there is commotion in the main street. Everyone is running helter-skelter, and they find an elephant charging down the main street, and the mahout sitting on the elephant is shouting, run away, this fellow has gone mast. He is intoxicated, nothing will be in his path, anything coming, he will kill. People are running. Suddenly this disciple remembered his Guru's words previously, what the Guru had convinced them that the whole universe is Narayana. So that means even elephant is Narayana. With that thought, he stood right in the center of the road with folded hands, reverentially bowing down to the elephant. And the mahout kept screaming, run away, you fool. But the disciple said, mahout doesn't know, Hathi is also Narayana. But maybe because his faith was so genuine, the elephant lifted him and threw him aside. It did not kill him. The young disciple, fell unconscious. People went and reported to the ashrama. They told the Guru, your wonderful disciple probably is dead, go and see. They all rushed, picked him up, brought him to the ashram, revived him, lot of bruises, and he regained his consciousness. Then the Guru asked, what happened? He said, Guruji, you taught us all yesterday that the whole universe is Narayana. That means elephant is also Narayana. Guru said, of course, that is also Narayana. Same consciousness, one consciousness which has manifested as this universe. Then you see, I trusted your words and I bowed down to this Hathi Narayana. See what this Narayana did to me. Then the Guru told, my dear child, what you have understood is correct. Hathi is Narayana. And I told you and you have practiced it, I am happy. Now tell me, the mahout who was sitting on the elephant, Hathi, is he not Narayana? Yeah, he is also Narayana. Then why did you not listen to the mahout Narayana? There is a higher manifestation of intelligence in the mahout. The one who is sitting on the elephant, who is controlling the elephant, he is telling you to run away. Because there is a lower manifestation of intelligence in the elephant. It is an animal level manifestation where it is dominated by its senses. Its self-restraint is less. Whereas the mahout is a higher manifestation. There is a self-restraint, there is intelligence working. So why did you not listen to that higher manifestation of God? This is the example. Immense idealism with immense practicality. The whole universe is one consciousness. That is the discovery of this land. And you can discover it in any path. Jadu Krishnamurti calls it pathless path. Discover it. And Swamiji says, I wish each man had his own religion. What do you talk of? My religion is the only religion for the whole universe. And it is not just my religion, only my kind of thing. There are other sects in my religion. They are all wrong. And I'll kill them when I get them, whether it is in Ireland or in the Gulf. Only my religion, and in that, this thing only is correct. And this you want to spread across the universe. So India went down when the sense of ahimsa and other things slowly ate away the spirit of valor, the Kshatriya, this thing that I have to fight for dharma, protect dharma. That was lost. So India is now building. Swamiji says, I have seen India. She will be more glorious than she ever was before. These are these mystic saints. We call them Trikala Gnanis. And Swamiji was one such. And he says, I have seen, don't think I am imagining, I have seen India. India in future will be more glorious than she ever was before. I have seen it. And it is happening now. We are in the crux, in the turning part, so we may not see it. But if someone is able to withdraw and see from a higher position, vantage site, if that is possible, you will see India is progressing. In terms of military, in terms of social justice, in terms of economy, we are progressing. The spiritual awareness also is increasing more and more. And this modern communication network, everything is helping us. And in that process, we should not forget it is just 75 years since we are free. And we are not fully free. This is a land which is still not ready for democracy. People are buying votes. There are parties which spend hundreds of crores to buy votes. Where is democracy? There are people here, different religions, which vote en masse. So where is democracy? Voting is done in the name of caste. Voting is done in the name of religion. All people of my faith, the reader tells, vote to this party. Where is democracy here? So when Swamiji started the Ramakrishna mission, he told, yes, for now he will be president, he will be this thing, he will be this thing. You are not ready for democracy still. That was for this monastic order, he told initially. Now it is democratic. But when he started, he said, you are not yet ready for democracy. You will be ready for democracy when you can think beyond your caste, your religion. When you can think, I am a human being, every fellow human being is my brother. Love thy neighbor as thy brother doesn't mean only my community and my faith. It means every fellow human being. And you say you will love only when you convert to my faith, that is a degradation. So we are not really ready for democracy. Everyone knows it. It is purchased. It is manipulated. But still, India is progressing. The challenge is, what can I do for it? How can I contribute? That is the question we should ask. How can I contribute to the growth of my country? Will I accept what the status quo is and say, let me build my second bungalow, let me get a job, let me run away to America, and let me be comfortable? Why ask these difficult, uneasy questions? And why take the headache of solving it? Will I do that? Or will I say, let me at least manifest my potential, the inner divinity as much as I can? Let me try to be unselfish. Let me fellow human beings without asking them their religion or caste. And when I do that, I will also oppose those who do that in the name of their religion or in the name of caste. For that, we require a lot of strength, mental strength and spiritual strength, physical strength, of course. So the right question is, India is evolving and we have to be strong militarily. Swamiji, someone asked, a householder asked, what will you tell if someone attacks me? What should I do? He says, you have to give him 2 blows. Are you a man? Someone comes and attacks your mother and sister and you say, oh, everything is Maya. If you cannot defend them, what man are you? He says. You have to fight, you have to stand up. Same thing Gandhi was asked. Oh, some lady asked, if someone comes to rape me, what should I do? You're telling all this ahimsa. He says, fight him with all your strength. So that is not adharma. When you have to fight adharma, you have to take up arms. That is part of my tradition, that is part of my culture. But it is not done with hate. Krishna goes and tries to convince Duryodhana, give at least 5 villages. You have such a big kingdom. 5 brothers, just 5 villages you give. Let us stop bloodshed. When everything fails, he says, it is now saturated adharma. So there is only solution is fighting you, and let us see who wins. Wherever truth is, on whichever side truth is, that is what wins. Satyameva Jayate. That is my national motto, the motto of India. Truth alone wins finally. Truth alone wins finally. Swamiji says, 2/3 of this country were Buddhists at a point of time. And then he says, now so many isms have come, this ism, that ism, and then millions of people have left this fold. But finally, it is truth alone wins. And that is the faith of this land. And can I, as an individual, hold on to truth? That is the question we should ask ourselves. What happens when we ask something very general and big questions? It ends there. And I don't see what is my role in it. The challenge is to see my role in it. Now, if I am a student and I am a professor or whatever is my role in society, in whichever institution I have committed my take up responsibilities, how well I discharge that and how well I play my role, how honestly I do that, how efficiently I do that, that also becomes part of this contribution to my country's evolution and growth. And because Swamiji points out, and it is also the truth, that spirituality is the backbone. Can I manifest that? And there are so many ways to do that. And can I stop these people telling, no, this is not correct, only what I have is correct. And lakhs of people are being cheated and taken out of that, in that path. So what can I do for that instead of simply sitting and grumbling? Can I take some step? That is the question we should ask ourselves. Swamiji says, do that. Awaken yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Great answer.
Hello.
Yes.
Swamiji, I have general doubt. I have one confusion. Bhagavan Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita that Yukta Hara Viharasya and Yukta Chestasya Karmasu, that shlok. And Swami Vivekananda say that we have to focus on only one thing and give up all other things. And here Krishna Bhagavan says we have to balance everything. I have confusion in that thought. Please explain.
Focus on one thing means you have an ideal in life. I say my ideal is, let us say, take it as the metaphor of a journey. I want to go and reach Delhi. That is my goal in life. If I have to go and reach Delhi, there are so many preparations I have to do and so many things come into it. How I go, how I prepare for it, it will involve a lot of other things. I cannot say, I'll not think about ticket, I'll not think about my luggage, I'll not think about who I am going, where I am sitting. Only Delhi I will think. Reaching any destination, reaching any goal will involve a lot of other things. My goal in life as a Hindu is to discover the divinity within me and manifest it in every moment of life, as Swamiji says. So, Yukta Hara Vihara, yes, I should be having balance in everything. Without balance, it becomes overindulgence. And when there is an overindulgence, then either physically or mentally, I become weak. I become addicted. And that mind which is weak can never reach the goal, the destination. So there is always one kind of restraint to be kept at this physical and mental level. That's what Krishna is telling us. Be balanced. Don't go to extremes in any way. Buddha did that. Bhagavan Buddha, he did extreme austerity. And then he said, no, this is not the path. Madhya Pantaha, middle path. What is the middle path? Don't torture the body, don't torture the mind. And don't allow it to go into indulgence also. This is an instrument. It is a instrument given to you to achieve dharma. Dharma sadhana it is. As Kalidasa says. It is an instrument for you to achieve dharma. What is dharma? Bahujana hitaya, bahujana sukhaya. For that, you control your senses, your mind. And what will you do after controlling? You should have an ideal and you should have an avenue of contributing to fellow human beings. In that contribution, you earn your livelihood. That is the secondary thing. We have discussed this earlier. When I am contributing something, that is through my work, and I will be contributing through my work only when I take responsibility. We have discussed this. When I take responsibility and contribute through my work, I will be manifesting my inner potentiality, that is divinity. In every moment of life, Swamiji says, how will I manifest it? Not by sitting. By taking up responsibility and fulfilling it, I'll be manifesting my inner divinity. And second, I'll be contributing to the growth of society because I have taken so much from society. I have to give back to society. In everything, if I do this, there is a focus, and that focus is I have to manifest the inner divinity, and that will be manifesting by taking up responsibility, achieving perfection in work, and in that process, I'll also be contributing to society, and I'll be earning my livelihood. Now, this is what I have to achieve. And Swamiji says, focus on one thing. It doesn't mean forget everything else. It is not possible, right? If I have to cook a meal, I need so many ingredients in that. Similarly, what Krishna tells in the Gita, what shloka you have quoted and what Swamiji says, they are not contradicting. You are now, let us say, studying to achieve your PhD goal. Now, if you have to get that PhD, you have to control your senses. You have to control your mind. How is it contradictory? Krishna is telling, have balance. That doesn't mean you never go out, you'll never go to a park, you'll never go to a party, you'll never go to a cinema. It doesn't mean that. You'll never socialize, you will never play any games. Next 5 years, you sit in your room and in your lab, you may become sick and unhealthy. So that is the balance you have to bring. Yukta, ahara, vihara. Have balance in your eating, in your recreation, in everything. But remember, the focus is you are going to achieve this. What is that? The goal of discovering something new. And because you discover something new, you will be given a doctorate. So it is not contradictory in that.
Swamiji, if we consider one case, suppose I have to complete something by tomorrow, and for that I need more time. Like I need to, if I don't need to sleep tonight, suppose, then only I can complete that work. So that is my goal, and but I have to sleep also, na? So I have to balance that. So what should I choose?
You must see why it came to this point that you have to finish in 2 days and you are not ready for it. What brought you to this point? Now you have to keep awake 2 nights. Suddenly no professor gave you and told in 2 nights you have to give. They also know how much time it takes. You had 6 months to do it.
Yes, sir. Actually, suppose that I am giving this example, but there may be some situations like external forces might not be knowing our condition. We might have we have taken more responsibilities that cannot be done in proper time like that.
Yes, it is possible. Suppose a soldier, he is on the border, and there is a battle. Will he say, now it is sleep time, let me all sleep? He doesn't sleep.
No.
So he is not deliberately telling I will be imbalanced. That is not imbalance. Because the challenge and the requirement of the present moment is he has to keep awake, or else he will not be able to submit the project. It is a deadline which has suddenly come. The whole team depends on it. Or my future depends on presenting this. I have an interview. It has suddenly come and I have to prepare. Then I'll have to stay awake. Take coffee, take something, stay awake, make a good job of it. You are not going imbalanced there. Immense idealism with immense practicality. Yes, idealism is having proper amount of food, sleep, and rest. But now the immense practicality demands I have an interview in 2 days, and it has come suddenly. Or else if I had knew it 6 months ago, I should have prepared for it. So now suddenly it has come. So I have to revise a lot of things. I have this deadline, so I will do it. That is not imbalance.
Yes. Thank you. But if it happens frequently, then it is imbalance.
Yes. And you should be honest with yourself, whether it was because of your laziness. Very often it is because of our laziness. How many times such deadlines come? Suddenly out of the blue. It is generally because of our laziness.
I was giving some example, it happens in other cases also.
Yes, it can happen. When it happens, then you have to finish it. It will not be for eternity, right? It will not continue next 5 years or 2 years. It will be a matter of 2 days. So 2 days, if I lose my sleep because I have to fulfill some responsibility, that doesn't mean I have lost my balance. No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Swamiji, I wanted to ask a question about Vedanta. Swamiji, I can understand how we can say that consciousness is Brahman, but what about material? I don't understand how we can call that. How does consciousness changes into something which is unconscious, which is material?
Yeah. The basic mistake is calling matter as unconscious. Matter is not unconscious. Matter is not unconscious.
But it seems completely unconscious, like brick, road.
It seems like that. You will have to approach it from the Vedantic perspective. I would suggest you listen to some of the talks by our Swami Sarvapriyananji to give you more clarity. The whole universe, if you take it as consciousness, Brahman is the word we use, it manifests first as energy. And energy and matter, are same. You look around you, any matter that you see is nothing but energy, right? And that energy is manifesting as your body. And your mind is also nothing but matter. Mind is matter. Your thoughts, everything is matter. It is subtle energy. The whole universe which you are seeing around you is energy. Energy manifests from what we call unthinkable, unknowable, vak mana atita. How do you describe something which is behind your, whatever the tool you are using? This tool was not there. This tool is a manifestation of that. So how will this tool describe that condition, that state before its manifestation? That is the state, that is the condition you are trying to describe. That is the tool, the mind. How will it describe? So the Upanishads say it is vak mana atita. You cannot describe it. It is only experienced. So the Upanishadic Rishis discovered this. The whole universe is one consciousness. They called it Brahman. And they say, anyone wants to discover it, the Guru says, you are that consciousness. You are that Brahman. And that person, if he is a sadhaka and he is following a path, a paddhati, he goes, discovers it himself, and he says, Aham Brahmasmi. The Sufi Islamic saints, Sufi saints, they declare and discover and declare the same thing. Yes, this is I am that consciousness. And when he comes out and sees the manifest universe, multicolored universe, he says everything is nothing but that consciousness. Sarvam khanu idam brahma, the whole universe is consciousness. So matter is also same thing. It looks like it is something which is different from. The whole universe is energy. As energy, we are all one. But in this human being, there is a manifestation where there is an awareness. And at the highest level, they say even matter is aware. Now, these are things which cannot be discussed because it cannot be understood through the mind. It has to be only experienced. So no amount of discussion will convince us of this until we experience it ourselves. But Sri Ramakrishna was worshipping in the...
So I have another question, sir. So I wanted to ask, like, what is the definition of dharma, ethics? What is ethical and what is...
Yeah. It is given in simple terms. Help people, do not hurt them. Be honest. Simple. Be unselfish. Helping is unselfishness. Being honest is being truthful. If you can practice these two, everything else will come automatically. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. And then serve others. As much as you can. Start with your own family, extend. Serve others. So if you practice these two, everything else will come. You don't have to, whereas a time when NCERT had a list of 82 values to be taught to school children. Slowly they realized this doesn't work like that. If the man is taught, Swamiji said, Tyaga and Seva, these are the two national ideals. Intensify her in these two channels and everything else will take care of itself. What is Tyaga and Seva? Tyaga is giving up selfishness. I and mine, just that. My pleasure, my desires, my needs. Okay, but include the needs of others in it. And that need not be just your family. Extend it beyond. That is Tyaga. You give up. That is, to give up means it is also, in another sense, self-restraint. Self-restraint. Control yourself. You cannot give up if you cannot control. So self-restraint is involved in that. And then Seva. How do you serve others? Swamiji gives, there is a bhava behind every activity, every action. There is nothing done without a bhava. So he says, Shivagnane Jiva Seva. With this bhava, you should serve. When I am working in my computer, when I am working in my lab, when I am doing my studies, BSc, MSc or MTech or PhD, I should be doing it as a service to my country. How many of us see it like that? I take so much fellowship money and I claim it as my right because of my intelligence. Am I seeing my work as a service to my country? The PhD or whatever course I am studying, am I studying just because I'll get a good job if I pass this? Or am I seeing it as my service to my country? So Seva means every work that I do, whether I am a farmer or a housemaid or a school student or a college professor, whoever I am, government official, whoever I may be, whatever work I may be doing, it is my service to my bigger society. By being a good student, I am serving my society because I am acquiring knowledge and tomorrow this knowledge will be used to serve my society. So that bigger connection is seen, Seva. And Swamiji says, The bhava behind it should be Shiv mankar jeev ki seva karna hai. With that bhava you should serve. And to serve like that, you need self-restraint. You have to give up that excessive greed. You have to give up selfishness. So that is tyaga. So if you can understand these two values, everything else will fall in place. Yeah.
Maharaj, I have two questions.
Yeah.
First is like as per Veda.
Little louder, please. Little louder.
Yeah, as per Veda, are you able to hear now?
Yeah.
As per Veda, we have this 4 yugas, right? So we are in Kali Yuga after Krishna's death around 5,000 years. So is it a world getting better or is getting bad? So that is my first
This is
question.
very difficult to answer, because we are talking about yugas. Whether we are in Kali Yuga or Satya Yuga, I don't know. Swamiji says after Sri Ramakrishna's birth, Satya Yuga is beginning. One of the very, something which convinced me much was Sri Yukteswar Giri's book. It is available on Amazon. I forget the name, The Divine Science probably. Sri Yukteswar Giri is the guru of Paramahamsa Yogananda. Paramahamsa Yogananda, whose book Autobiography of a Yogi is very popular. His guru, Sri Yukteswar Giri, he has a book, The Divine Science, where he explains these yugas. I think if you read that, it will give you a better understanding. As I understood, what he says in that is, the whole solar system and this thing, he is also rotating in this galaxy. And the further away it goes from the center, it is having an impact on matter. And mind is also matter. So the further away it goes from the center, there is a degradation. And the more it comes closer to the center, something happens in the matter's constitution. So the mind is in a sattva dominated condition. So people are more able to manifest their divinity. The further it goes from the center, there is a degradation, that is the tamas and rajas will dominate more and the divinity will be less manifest. He says these yugas are to be understood like this. We say in Satya Yuga, everyone was like God. And then Treta Yuga, little degradation. But still there was a great manifestation of divinity. Dwapara, it was still less. And Kali Yuga, it totally became gross matter. And Sri Ramakrishna says in Kali Yuga, prana is annagata, very physically rooted. And it is again evolving, it is going back. Now, these are sciences which only great yogis can understand probably. And personally, I would not be much interested in this, whether it is Kali Yuga or Satya Yuga. What is my Yuga now? That's all I should be concerned in. Where am I living? At what level of consciousness? What is it that I am manifesting? And how much is my struggle? Am I struggling? Let us stay focused on this. Because these are bigger questions which can be answered anyway, and there is no proof for it. And I can tell something, you can equally, logically tell something opposite. And we may spend 100 years on it. None will be benefited. Am I improving? Am I able to connect with fellow human beings? Am I contributing? Let us stay focused on that. That is practical.
Yeah, thanks, Maharaj. Second question is like regarding the laziness. So what is the right mindset to avoid laziness? It's not only, I mean, with me or the people around us, everyone, it is like so usual to them. Like it becomes so normal being lazy, like wherever we go.
Yeah.
There is
the solution for that is Shraddha. Swamiji says, why India has fallen is it lost Shraddha. Shraddha is not simply faith. It is all positive attitude, combination of all positive attitudes. There is no English word for it. For a better, lack of better word, we say faith. Faith is a very poor word. Shraddha is Vishwas, Atma Vishwas. And that Atma Vishwas is one dimension. Second important dimension of Shraddha is, whatever work I have taken, I see it as a sacred duty. Maybe I can put it like that. So I have taken up a course, I have a responsibility. I should see the sacredness in that responsibility. If I can more and more I see sacredness in that responsibility, laziness will be gone. Suppose he is a father and his child is in the hospital or child is suffering or in some challenge. Will the father be lazy? Unless he is addicted or he is lost and he is not a good father. No laziness will affect him. He will overcome every challenge. He will struggle because he has that sense of responsibility. I am responsible for my child's welfare. A mother does that. Whether a father does or not, mother does that. So equal sense of responsibility will come when I see that whatever that relationship is, or it is a relationship with a person, relationship with a work, if I can bring a sense of sanctity in it, that should help me to come out of laziness. Laziness comes when I cannot see my responsibility. And even when I see, if I don't have that divinity or sanctity, and I don't have a passion for it, because I told each of us we have something unique, and what I have taken up is not matching with my unique potential, what I can manifest, then I will not have passion for it. Sometimes we take up things because someone else told, my parents told, my professor told, or I see there is a lot of money in it, but my heart is in something else. Then you will not be doing well. You see that in stories, in cinemas, many places you see. Someone who is doing very poor in some subject, he shifts his subject line of thinking or work, and he becomes a master and he becomes very good in that. How is that possible? Because he's had something unique which was matching in that field. He had gone into engineering, it was not his strength. He went into wildlife photography, as in that happens in the cinema or in something else, and there he manifests. He flourishes, he excels. So we have to discover, if I am lazy, is this my field? Am I feeling passionate about it or not? But if I have compromised, I'm forced to compromise because of circumstances, then I should still be able to do it because it's a commitment. I have taken a seat in IIT, and that means so many people lost. There was one seat and 500 applicants for that seat. And when I got it, because I'm intelligent and I don't make use of it, 499 other people, they are being cheated. Maybe there was someone passionate about it. Only thing, he didn't have good marks. He lost out. So I'll be cheating someone. So especially when I take a seat in IIT or a big institution like this, my responsibility is so much more. I cannot waste it. So many people wanted a seat here. I got it, so I should make the best of it. If I can remind myself now and then, oh my God, I'm fortunate I have this, so many fought for it, I got it. Let me make the best of it. How do I make the best of it? Give my best attention, time. There will be a balance, of course. So you'll have to fight it for yourself, laziness. Bring that sense of sanctity in it. It is a sacred duty towards your institution, your country, and also towards your parents and to yourself. Who will be happy when they fail in any way? No, they will not be happy. Why should I fail? When I have got a seat here, it shows I have the merit. The moment I got a seat here, it says you are above the cut mark. So you can do it. So how is it I cannot do it? Maybe I have not put in the requisite amount of hard hours of labor. Let me put it now. And there is nothing like it is over. Right this moment I can begin. Any moment. We can start the transformation whenever we are, wherever we are. Yeah.
One more
Swamiji?
question.
Yeah.
Can I experience the God now? Like what Swami Vivekananda experienced when meeting with Ramakrishna Paramahansa?
No. You should be ready for it. Someone asked this, one of our Swamis in a public lecture, he asked, Sri Ramakrishna in a touch gave him that high divinity vision, can you give me? Then the Swami replied, I am neither Sri Ramakrishna nor are you Vivekananda. Let us not be in delusion. It requires, and he was a born Dhyana Siddha. From childhood, he was a master in meditation. It was natural for him. And it was a life pure to the core. And it was a life which was not ready to accept any conformed ideas. He was a rebel. He would think, test out everything for himself, not swallow what people tell him from childhood. And that was a mind which was ready for it. It was a dry mind. And one stroke by Sri Ramakrishna, it caught fire. So Sri Ramakrishna says, there are minds which are like wet wood. You go on lighting it, it simply keeps putting off because there is so much of wetness in it. In our term, in our this thing, it may be seen as desires. I have so many other desires. How will I have the higher experience? When the animal in me is so strong, how will I have the higher experience? Swamiji says, man, it is not Swamiji's this thing, it is there in our culture. Swamiji puts it like this. Man is a compound of animality, humanity and divinity. Pashutva, Manushatva, Daivatva, तीन के सम्मिश्रण है मानुष. When my Pashutva desires are so strong, how will I have any higher awakening? When the tap is open below, how will anything come up? So I should be ready for it. It doesn't happen like that.
So how can I be ready for that?
Self-restraint, control, do your duty, and take up some sadhana paddhati, where you try to discover the inner divinity. Whatever you feel from inside, you connect with. Don't believe because someone tells it. Sincerely pray, because the divinity is inside you. Sincerely pray, you will find out which is the sadhana paddhati which is natural for you. And Swamiji's recommendation for the Ramakrishna mission was, there are 4 major paths, practice all of them. Bhakti Yoga, through the practice, everyone has an emotional dimension to that. Bring that emotion awake, bring it and purify it as love for God. Then everyone has this tendency to work. Nobody can be free from work. So he says, yes, work, do it unselfishly, do it as an act of worship. Look upon fellow human beings, look upon your work as sacred. That will make your work as Karma Yoga, constant recollectedness of God. Everyone has this intellectual dimension. So develop that, discover. Vichara, Viveka Vichara. English, better word, I don't know, discriminate is the word. What is real, what is unreal? Try to detach yourself from the thoughts, from the feelings, and see who is that who is witnessing all this. That is the Jnana Marga. Then meditation is part of everything. It is the art of controlling the mind. First, subduing the outgoing mind, then focusing it on a point. So that is Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. So the ideal for Ramakrishna mission, which he gave, is have a balanced practice of all these yogas, because the human being has all these faculties. Don't be one-sided. But something will be dominant for me. Find out what it is, use that, and the goal is not the sadhanas, the paddhatis. The goal is to discover my true nature. Who am I or what am I? The more you do this, more the mind becomes pure. Then the realizations, the experiences will come. And even there, mind you, experiences are not the goal. What I saw, what I heard is not the important thing. Who is it who is seeing it? Who is it who is hearing it? That who, discovering that is the goal, not what I see. People forget this and they say this technique is very superior, this kriya is very superior. It makes you see light, it makes you see visions. Visions, seeing visions or listening to some noise or sound or bell is not the goal of spiritual life. The goal of spiritual life is to discover, main kaun hu, main kya hu? Who am I? If you read Ramana Maharshi, you will see that. Repeatedly he draws anyone going with any question. He says, go to the root. Why do you go outside? Who am I? Who is this who is having this question? That I have to discover. Now take up a paddhati, whatever it is, and practice it simultaneously. Whatever is your responsibility now, fulfill that responsibility with a sense of sanctity, sacredness. That will purify the mind, and you will have that.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, it is being said that if you go on the path of meditation or in the search of spiritual knowledge, you at some point of time you need a teacher to get you ahead of the blockage you are having. And in many cases, if you don't have any spiritual teacher, you might get mad, like a mental person. So and also it is said that when the right time comes and you are ready for it, the teacher will appear in front of you from anywhere. So how do I know if all this is true or not, or if I am ready for the teacher or not, or is this thing true or not?
First, do what you have heard now. Be honest in your relationships. Be honest in your work. Try to be unselfish. Try to be pure. And pray. And don't swallow what someone gives. You should always think for yourself. And that thinking should be purified with unselfishness and truthfulness. When you do that, because everyone is moving towards the truth. Swamiji says everyone is moving from lower truth to higher truth. Do these things, and if you are hungry, if you're sincere, things will evolve, and not from outside, from inside. You will get clarity. You will know clearly what it is. You will know how you should go. Don't wait for someone to come and tell you how you should go. They say the last message of Buddha, his last words are, Atma Deepo Bhava. Be a light unto yourself. So that is what you should aim for. Not go looking for a guru. Be a light unto yourself. Go look for a guru if you want. But put your efforts first. Put your efforts first. What is that putting efforts? As I told now, be honest, be sincere, be hardworking. Do whatever work you're doing. What is your responsibility now? Are you a student? You have a student. As a student, you have a responsibility to master your subject. Do that with a sense of sanctity. Do that, then you will see from inside, your mind itself will become a guru. And this universe will work for you, and you will find someone who will guide you ahead. Without doing my part, hoping many people do that. Some guru will come and help me to control my mind. Some guru will come and give me a vision of God. First show me God, then I'll believe. And these are so-called educated people. First show me God, then I'll believe. You don't have any capacity to even realize it, and you say, first show me. So you go to your lab and say, first show me the results, then I'll do the experiment. Professor will say, you're a fool. Do the experiments and you will find the result. So do the sadhana and the mind becomes pure and subtle, and then it will realize the truth which is inside. Nothing comes from outside. So you practice these things, and one warning will be, don't try to overdo any mantra japa and all. It can go wrong. For some people it does go. That is what Madhya Pantha, someone raised that. Ahara Vihara, it is not in just that, even in sadhana. Buddha says, no, excessive austerity will not work like that. It will simply break the mind. And once the mind goes, then it is all lost. Very difficult to have the mind repaired. You can set your fractured hand again, but not the mind that easily. Especially concentrating here between eyebrows, and then listening to some noise and sound and ringing bells and seeing some blue light. These are all ways people teach to control them. And they make money. And these people, yes, it is even in school level we have seen, we used to do like this and have a sensation. And that is where they also concentrate to hypnotize. So you do all these experiments, mind will go foot. You don't have to do those experiments. They are dangerous. And whoever does it, they do it for money. Whatever it is they may talk. They will awaken Kundalini Shakti. We see so many who come like that. Unless the mind is pure, such psychic energies should not be awakened. If the psychic energy is awakened and the mind is still having a lot of animal desires, then it will become very strong. And that person will fall. So it is told, first, do your duty towards all your relations, your parents, your brother, sister, then your friends, then your institution, your lab, your subject, and to yourself as a human being. Every relation brings one responsibility. And I have to see that responsibility and discharge it. That's why Rama is called Maryada Purushottama. In every relationship, he fulfills that relationship duty. And there, again, there will be a hierarchy, which is the most sacred. The bigger and higher duty comes more for the first than the second one. Something which is more personal comes last. Bahujana hitaya, bahujana sukhaya, as Buddha says. That comes first. Then my hita, my family's hita and my hita. So these are things you should understand and practice. Slowly it will come out, that inner truth, it will guide you yourself. Without doing any of this, to think that I will pay 25,000, 50,000, learn some technique and become spiritual, that is madness. Okay? And also dangerous.
Sir, in the path of being honest, I am not some some big Gyani or something. Like I am just a normal insan. So in the process, in being honest, if I hurt someone in a relationship, so
it is told you should be truthful, but don't speak truth which hurts others. How is it for you truthfulness only means hurting others? Your nose is not good. I don't have to tell that. When we talk about honesty, I will do my duty, responsibilities with a sense of sanctity. I will not cheat that. That's all we mean. Why should my honesty in any way hurt others? And if it is hurting others, that means it is something unethical. If I have to break that, then better break it. So it will not always, don't link it like that. But honesty means it will hurt others. Satyam vada, satyam api apriyam na vada. Don't speak. If that is truth also, don't tell something which hurts others. You don't have to tell that truth. You are a fool. I don't have to tell him that. Oh, it is a truth. Why do you want to hurt? You don't have to hurt others. And what is it that you have proved by telling the truth? Have you helped him? If you want to help him, then you should, if you know that he is a fool and you want to help him, then you should go and tell him, brother, I think you can do it like this. If you do, you will understand this concept better. And look at this resource I have found. This will help you. That is a better way than to tell you are a fool. So if a truth is hurting someone, then I should see how I can help them without telling the truth. And if it is compromising me from my ideal and my service, then I'll have to cut off without being harsh and having to hurt them. Sometimes it may happen that they will feel hurt. That is inescapable. When you hold on to something higher, the lower will be hurt. Rama had to leave Sita. Sita was hurt. And Rama, was he happy? Partying? He was also very hurt because he had to leave Sita. But he said, Ayodhya comes first. A Kshatriya is first married to his land and then he marries a princess. He says, my first responsibility is towards Ayodhya. And he knew his progeny, she was pregnant, my children. Sita is the dearest to him. And she is the mother of his children. But he left them. But because he says that is for Ayodhya. When he has to do Rajasuya Yaga, they told you cannot do without a queen. He says there is only one woman in my life, that is my Sita. So they made a golden image of Sita. So there is a relationship I have in this society with people, with work. I have to discharge my responsibilities, duties. And sometimes it will hurt when I have to discharge something bigger. Something personal may be hurt. That you cannot escape. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Shall we conclude? Harsh?
Yes, Maharaj. If there is no other questions, we can go.
Thank you. Sri Ramakrishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.